Tuesday, Crain and Company, the greatest Tuesday you've ever experienced, coming at you, Eric Goodman style. But, as we were talking about a second ago, watched the first episode of the first season of True Detective last night. Have seen season 2, seen season 3, hadn't seen season 1.
I did not know that. I thought you told me you'd seen it.
I saw the one with Marcello Ali, which was really good.
The third one.
And then the one with Colin Farrell that I thought was good. I didn't think it was as good as the third season, but after this first episode of season 1.
So you've only seen one episode?
One episode, man.
And you chose the week you're getting married to start this adventure.
And like Reed's gone for the rest of the week after this morning, so it's just going to be me and the animals.
That's tough.
All right, are we doing rotations, Blaine, on who goes and checks on him?
Like, is it like that crazy?
Oh, get ready to go to a place. You're going to go to
no.
Think an hour and a half text, we'll rotate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really like, well, thank goodness I got all the animals. I'm going to be like Ace Ventura tonight. Whenever she leaves, all the animals just come to me. I'm like Noah.
It's like a movie. They like made like the greatest movie, but longer. That's what it really was.
Look, I love a good mystery. I love a good mystery.
It's top notch, man.
God, I'm excited. Y'all got me excited and somewhat scared. Georgia football lands a commitment from the #1 player in the country in the 2024 class, Dylan Raiola. The Dallas Stars advance in the Stanley Cup playoffs after defeating the Kraken, and 7 ACC schools are considering leaving the conference. I'm Jake Crain. We got Brandon Marcello, and this is Crain and Company. Georgia football continues to add to the monster after the #1 ranked player in the 2024 class, quarterback Dylan Raiola, pledged to play for the Dogs yesterday. And while he is a big-time get, it seems that Georgia gets another star prep player every day. This is because Kirby Smart has built the best version of the Saban blueprint yet. Now, make no mistake, Kirby did not invent the machine, but he did find a way to build it even better than the guy who built the latest model before him in Nick Saban. Now, this isn't some obscure idea that worked or shot in the dark. This is a perfectly built structure that Kirby learned from Nick and took to a place that has more potential than any state in the country, in my opinion. Now, I'll get back to why that is in a second, but what people need to understand is just like every other invention throughout time, there's always a person who comes along and builds it even better. Take the TV, for example. The companies that produce the best televisions in the world right now didn't invent the TV, but they found a way to make it better. And that's exactly what Saban got from Belichick, who got it from Parcells. Saban then took it to college and perfected it. Kirby then took it from Saban and seems to have built an even better version of it going into 2023. Now, it takes a special someone to be able to do that. Many others have tried it and failed, like, for example, Will Muschamp or Jeremy Pruitt. But Kirby has found the secret sauce. Now, Smart also knew that only a few places would have the potential to build the best version of this, and also the willingness to give him unlimited power to construct it. Georgia, to me, is the most dangerous program in the country because they have everything in place to build the machine and operate it at the highest level. You're in the SEC. Your state per capita is one of, if not the best in the country to recruit, and that's for all 3 major sports. People love football in the state of Georgia as much as anywhere else in the country, and there is no other power in the state to rival the Dogs like it's, say, Auburn to an Alabama. Sorry, Georgia Tech, it's just the truth. Now, it took a little time for the structure to get built and put everything into place, but now we can step back and watch the machine work. Georgia inhales great high school players into that machine and spits out NFL players at an incredible rate. The main job Kirby Smart has now is to be able to make sure there's no kinks in the machine and to be able to adjust it as the game changes. Hit it with a little bit of that WD-40. Now, this isn't a Tesla versus Edison match where we have opposing ideas that are clashing. This is more like Edison's son finding a better way to make a light bulb. And in both cases, the finished product is shining before our very eyes. Now, Georgia's here to stay, and if you think this 2-year run was the pinnacle, you are setting yourself up for a massive disappointment because the Mega Ranger doesn't seem to be slowing down anytime soon. I'm going to bring in my co-host, former Michigan quarterback David Cohn, former Western State Colorado wide receiver Blaine Crain. Guys, we can sit here and throw praise from all different angles on what Kirby has done, but he has taken the formula to a place that has that potential, as I mentioned, one of those golden egg institutions, as I called them, and he has built the best version of this machine.
Well, what's impressed me most over the past year is Kirby Smart's refusal to be complacent, even after that first championship. I think Kirby Smart's greatness will ultimately be determined by how obsessed he is. That's really what it is to me. Yeah, guys can jump as high as Michael Jordan and hit golf balls as far as Tiger Woods, but it's the obsession for those guys, and like Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, and then like you were talking about Nick Saban, they're just obsessed to be the greatest. So will Kirby Smart have that same obsession? A lot of guys have moments, Larry Coker had a moment at Miami and had a great dynasty there. Pete Carroll at USC, even Ed Orgeron had one of the greatest teams we've seen in LSU, but they just weren't obsessed in the long term in greatness. And Kirby Smart is the perfect coach at a perfect spot. Like you were talking about, Georgia is just prime recruiting grounds. That's my home state. And he just won back-to-back national championships with a walk-on quarterback. So he continues to not only get, the number one player in important positions like the quarterback position, but down the line, this is what we were talking about with Rusty Manziel. It seems like he's just stacking recruit on recruit on recruit. And as far as the number one quarterback recruit here in Dylan Raiola, Georgia getting the number one guy is nothing new. Even my year coming out, they had Matt Stafford coming in.
He's pretty good.
Yeah, he's pretty good. Super Bowl champ now. But it's been Kirby Smart's ability to just get all of these guys together and basically tell them, you haven't won anything yet.
Yeah.
You're not good enough yet. And so let's see if it continues as we move forward.
Yeah, and Blaine, Georgia's always had talent, and Mark Richt did a great job. They've had guys in the past that have done, good jobs there. They won the national championship with Herschel Walker in 1980. But it's taken somebody like Kirby Smart. And when I talk about the machine, I'm talking about roster structure. I'm talking about the pillars of a great program, recruiting, culture, development, putting guys in a situation where structurally and strategically where they're at, what they're doing, and it's all progressing toward winning. There's a reason for everything, and it's hard to maintain that, but it seems that Kirby, like Thanos, has found the bracelet, whatever, in all 5 Infinity Stones, and now he's just put it together, and now he can just let Frankenstein walk out into the village and start ripping villagers' arms and legs off.
Yeah, I know. That'd be a sight to see for sure.
Seen Jordan Davis?
Yeah, well, yeah. I know you've seen the entire Eagles defense, but the thing with me is Kirby was the closest one to Nick, right? He saw how Nick put together the machine. Right, he's basically the Anakin to the Obi-Wan, but they're starting to realize that actually Kirby's starting to get the high ground. All right, so it's going to be a little bit different situation. But it goes back to what you said. Kirby knows the percentages and the ingredients you have to have a great program. I think 60% of it's recruiting.
Oh, maybe more.
Maybe more. It's 65 to 70%, and then culture, then development. And Kirby knows how to do that. This isn't going anywhere. I don't know if he'll eclipse what Saban has done, because you had guys who've fallen off, who had a great year, great 2 years, and then the process ends. But I do think Kirby's that obsessed because he was that close to Saban. He saw the obsession, right, and fell in love with the obsession. And it's you're not working if you're in love with what you're doing. And Kirby, let's be honest here, guys. They're supposed to win 7 games last year, right? Had an entire roster believe, right? He's the puppet master. Right, he's getting to that stage where he's pulling all the strings, doesn't matter what it is. Like, he's probably having the janitor stay like, he's the next Nick Saban right now in college football.
Yeah. I want to give Kirby credit, because it's not like Nick Saban called Kirby Smart in his office one day and was like, hey, listen, I've got something to show you, but you can't tell anybody else. Jeremy Pruitt had it, wasn't able to do it. Will Muschamp had it, wasn't able to do it. Jimbo won a natty at Florida State, but seems to have kind of, fallen off here lately at A&M. We'll see how he finishes up. There's been a lot of guys who we felt like is kind of next up from Nick Saban. Hell, look at his coaching tree. It's like the Amazon. But it takes a certain individual, and I think it's because you have to be somewhat of a people person. I think Kirby Smart shares that same type of DNA strand with Nick Saban as I can be a hard ass, I can get after you, I can be a disciplinarian, but I have enough people skills and genuine interest in you as a person to make you want to do those things for not only yourself and your family, not only the program, but for me as well. I think that may be the special ingredient. You can set things up. You can print out schedules identical to the ones that Nick Saban had with those resources, but it's the ability to connect with recruits and connect with people that I think makes the difference. And it's hard to go from a coordinator to a head coach. We see a lot of guys struggle, whether they're genius offensive coordinators or defensive coordinators, then all of a sudden they go to the head coaching position and they look lost and aloof. It is a totally different job. It is like being the Secretary of State one year and the president the next. You are asked to do many different things and your plate is much heavier and you can't focus in on what you're best at. You have to become your best at every single aspect. I think that's the difference with Kirby.
And you need multiple influences as well. You're talking about Jimbo Fisher. He coached under Bobby Bowden. I'm sure that helped too. So these guys have coached for a lot of different coaches. And then you need to also know which things you want to implement and which things you don't want to implement. Like the moment Kirby Smart became the head coach at Georgia, he knew, hey, I'm going to take this certain percentage of things that I've seen that worked really well when I was the defensive coordinator at Alabama. But here's another certain percentage that someone else did that I like, or I have some original thoughts of my own that I would like to try, and then see what works. And it's trial and error once you get into a program when it comes to roster management and things like that. Because 1 through 85 at Georgia right now is where he seems to be dominating.
Yeah, the depth is incredible. And you bring up a great point. It's one thing to mimic someone. It's another thing to be influenced by someone. And just because there's a lot of things that are similar structurally in the machine, you do have to have your own, a little bit of flavor to it. You can't just go out there and mimic somebody because that's not you truly being genuine. And I think, again, that is the key.
Maybe that's what we saw with Will Muschamp. I'm not exactly sure.
I think it is, David. I think it is.
I think maybe they tried to just mimic exactly what they saw instead of, saying, that's a good influence. I'm going to log that thing that I saw there away for later.
What do you think
I'm going
Kirby
to try
Smart's
this.
doing different?
What do you mean than those other two guys?
Well, what is he doing different from Saban? You said he's coming in with his own kind.
I think he's a different person.
Sauce, his own spice.
That's what I think he's like literally obsessed with greatness to the point where, like, even in that game, the Sugar Bowl last season, when you saw him going down and calling a timeout because he didn't like the way that his punt block was lined up, right? It's not the special teams coordinator. He's running down there and calling that timeout, which ended up winning that game for them because the Buckeyes faked a punt on that. Yeah. That's why this guy's just coming off a national championship. He could just be over there and just be a figurehead. And then when they get the first down, yell at the special teams coordinator. How many times have we seen a guy do that? He's down there upset, ripping off the headset, calling the timeout because he noticed it. He saw it. That ended up winning that game for them, which then they didn't go blow out TCU.
Yeah, it's
one small example.
Yeah, I think you're right. To answer your question, I think it is, a lot of it's in recruiting and how you go recruit players. Again, I have worked for different coaches who worked under other coaches. You have a plan. All right, hey, I like the way that this head coach I work for structured practice. We did inside here. We did 7-on-7 here. I like the way that it flowed. There may be a little bit that you change. There may be a little bit of pre-practice stuff that you change. I think a lot of that is similar. Obviously, you want to go recruit the best players. You have a scheme and an identity. I mean, Kirby Smart's running Nick Saban's defense, basically. I mean, it's not the exact same, but it's the ability. You can't go in there and just say, oh, I remember Nick Saban said this to recruit, so I'm going to act exactly like Nick Saban. That doesn't work. I think where Kirby has had success and where he's different is that he can recruit at the same level that Nick can by being himself. That's the difference. Structurally, it's probably damn near identical with the way that it's formatted and the way that they go through spring and what they do in the summer and what coaches are on the road and how they handle it. But when it comes down to going in that room, or when it comes down to talking to your own players, or when it comes down to giving the pregame speech, I think that is the difference in Kirby, is the ability to connect with people in his own way while using the best structure that we've seen in college football that Saban got from Bill Belichick and brought it to college, that Bill Belichick got from Bill Parcells, and I'm sure Bill Parcells got from somebody before that because that's how it works. But speaking about getting something, it's grilling season. All right, it was about 90 degrees yesterday. I can feel summer. All right, and if you're wondering, hey, where do I get the best meat from? Guess what? I've got the perfect machine for you. That's our friends over at GoodRanchers.com. And if you use our code BOOSTER, you can get $30 off any box. And they're giving away free bacon for a year, which is probably the most American thing since Paul Revere went and warned everybody that the British was coming. All right? I'm not sure what your favorite steak is, but the one I get, mine's a New York strip, okay? I get the butcher's box, which is basically like a farm delivered to my house. It has chicken. It has, flank steak. It's got everything, all natural burgers, strips, like I mentioned, ribeyes. It's fantastic. And Good Ranchers is committed to giving you inflation-proof meat that you can count on. The price doesn't blow up and the meat doesn't either. And right now, they're offering a price lock guarantee for the next 2 years. Imagine if you could have locked in your price 2 years ago. You'd be saving hundreds of dollars, and we all know why. So gear up for an unforgettable summer of barbecues, of delicious food, great company, and the perfect ambiance with our friends over at Good Ranchers. Head to GoodRanchers.com. Use our code BOOSTER, BOOSTER, for $30 off any box. And send it to us. Tell us what box you got. We want to find out. Delicious American meat and $30 off your order with free bacon for a year. That's promo code BOOSTER at GoodRanchers.com. GoodRanchers.com. American meat delivered. You're welcome.
The whole family's on it, boys.
Dude, I'm telling you,
Mom and
I've had
Dad
so
had
many
the
people
steak
hit
this
me
week.
up saying that they, and they've gotten different boxes. I went with the butcher's box, but I have not had one person be like, oh man, this is a bad idea.
Yeah.
It's all like fantastic things. I've had people send me pictures of Good Ranchers meat with Black Rifle coffee rub on it.
Really?
Yeah, which is what we call. That's what we. Yeah.
Top tier booster club.
That's what we call booster clubbing.
Wow.
Hard. All right, what do we got in the club? Speaking.
Let's go to a heartbroken. Well, let's go ahead and get to Cole. It's Cole.
Let him know. Let him know, Cole.
$2.
Come on, Cole. Tell him, Cole.
Blaine, LeBron is mid. Cole, obviously, I don't have an E in my name, but I'm gonna let that slide because
I think he's doing it on purpose.
I know
on purpose.
Yeah.
Blaine, LeBron is mid. MJ is the GOAT. Well, that donation
That never gets old.
I don't think it does because I think he'd quit doing it if it was. I believe it was the Hayfords. I might be wrong here. Says they don't see Georgia winning another natty 3 years in a row. Has anybody won a natty 3 years in a row?
I'm trying to remember. Saban hasn't done it. Saban's won 2. I can't remember off the top of my head anybody winning 3 in a row. I mean, you think about a three-peat. You think about professional organizations or UCLA and back in the day. You don't really think of that now. We don't see that really in any sport, at least the major sports in college. So Kirby, I think a lot of this will depend on how malleable Kirby can continue to be. And I think he understands that. One of Nick Saban's best qualities isn't how he can make it to the top. It's his ability to adjust while he's at the top to keep up with the adjustments and the evolution of the game. Great example. Gus Malzahn and Hugh Freeze hurt him with the hurry-up, no-huddle offense. You see what Clemson did. He complains about it for a little bit. Then what does he do? He goes and hires Lance Kiffin and beats the hell out of people with that same system, has an unbelievable offense in 2020 with Mac Jones, Devontae Smith, all those guys, and uses it to his advantage. If Kirby can continue to be malleable, Georgia will continue to be set up to a place where they can compete for the national championship legitimately and be favorited legitimately in most years.
The only team, Minnesota, 1934, 35, and 36.
Those teams?
The Minnesota three-peat.
Oh, Johnny Crazy Leg Johnson.
Yeah. Oh, Rick One-Eyed Tompkins.
It's the first year they ran the toss sweep.
Obviously, Alabama went back-to-back in 11 and 12. Alabama also went back-to-back in 78-79. Nebraska 94-95. Texas 69-70. Oklahoma 55-57.
That third one, man. That third leg's like a parlay.
I know but then that's where it gets into, okay, well, who was the AP? Who was coaches? Because you had Nebraska, I think, get a back-to-back. And then even USC there, one of theirs was not for the crystal ball. One of them was like an AP national championship, but one of them was the coaches.
I'm so glad we don't do that anymore.
I know.
I'm so glad I don't have to worry about who the Lexington
not sharing.
Yeah.
I'm not sharing with him,
I said I didn't want salmon.
All right, let's go to Tyler Jarvis with the $10 dono. Tyler, appreciate you. So he says his name's AKA Hurricane. I'm a teacher, and we're on the final stretch of the school year. Got 2 weeks left. I need an inspirational speech from Sir Cone to get me through this. Love the show. Y'all rock.
Do you need the music?
How many more weeks?
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
You need the music? Do you need the
Then play that music.
Hit it. Spit that fire at him, Cone.
What's his name?
Tyler Jarvis?
Tyler Jarvis?
Yeah.
Nah, for the next 2 weeks, your name is Finish, okay? 14 days, your ancestors didn't lie face down in the muck, okay, building fires for you to not be able to finish 14 days. That's just 7 times 2. You tell those kids, show up on time. If you're late, the door's getting locked, and we're gonna finish because summer's around the corner. And you know what happens then, boys. Swimming pool time.
Yup.
All right, hey, maybe we'll eat a donut or two.
Good Ranchers.
You know what, right now, Good Ranchers, exactly. Right now, it's about finish time, all right? So sit down, do your job, okay? 14 days. You got this.
Let's
You
go.
got this,
There we
buddy.
go.
Go T-Jar.
There it is right there. I
you
don't
like
know how
that?
you can't finish out. You ought to play that for the whole class. If it was me.
Over the loudspeaker.
Yeah.
The bell doesn't dismiss
I was a
you. I dismiss you.
Did Blaine ever tell you I was a substitute teacher for a year when I was coaching
What?
high school? The 1 year I coached high school?
You're a substitute
my
teacher?
senior year.
Yeah. I used to
Hold on. Did you sub for his class?
No.
Oh.
Yeah, you did.
No, I didn't. I never subbed for you. You would walk over and see me, but I
Oh,
never subbed for your
yeah.
class.
I just walk over during.
Here
What
was
did
my
you
rule.
do?
Here's my rule. I'd walk in and I'd be like, listen, all right, shut the door. I'm not here to teach you any of this stuff y'all are supposed to learn. I got these handouts. All right, I coach football. I got to watch film. All right, y'all can talk, but quietly. If you get too loud, then you can't talk anymore. And that was the deal we had, and it always worked.
Good.
Yeah.
Let's go to Chris Walton.
Crain.
All right, he says, does Kirby take advantage of this 5-star QB, or does Raiola eventually walk due to Vandergriff or Stockton being there?
They have so many talented quarterbacks on the roster. I don't think it. I think you're to the point now where the best player is going to win out. Like, it's not, oh, I'm going to make sure I protect this kid so he wins the job. It's, I've got Gunnar Stockton. I've got Brock Vandegrift. They got the other kid, his last name, it's like Italian. I can't remember it right now.
Bruschetta.
Bruschetta. I think that's it. Yeah, it's either that or ravioli. But with Raiola, which is somewhat close to, are they just recruiting Italians? Like, that's just hit me right now. Maybe that is the secret sauce. I think it's to the point where you have built that room up with so much competition that you have no other excuse than to have a great quarterback.
You just never can tell. They had Eason there, who was a 5-star quarterback. Yep. Jacob Fromm ends up being the starter, right? They had who'd they bring in? They've had a bunch of 5-star guys.
Yeah, this isn't a new thing, but it's just, again, you're creating so much competition in that room that it can do. If you get so much good ingredients, you can't help but the food to be good. Mm-hmm. You know, you can't make it bad.
JT Daniels transferring in was a 5-star quarterback. Ends up losing out to Stetson Bennett. So, I mean, it's just flip a coin these days.
All right, make sure you like and subscribe. If you're in the chat, make sure to take a couple seconds. Don't be crazy. Don't be lazy. Like and subscribe. Let's get to rapid fire.
All right, let's do it, boys. NHL, Stars, big Game 7 win over the Kraken. You had the Stars, too.
Yeah, I did, but I had the over. I mean, it's a fast-paced.
It was a parlay?
Yeah, this is a fast-paced game. Y'all score 3 goals. I thought it was somewhat of a boring hockey game last night. I really thought it was.
If you had the under, though.
And I'll get, well, I wouldn't have taken the under in that, like, especially with these two teams. At the first period, nobody scores. Most of the period, second period, nobody scores. And I'm a defensive guy, but it was just boring hockey for a while.
Most of the games later in the series go lower.
They do, but that still doesn't mean they're less boring. I mean, it's just, that's my opinion. The Kraken, look, you talk about an expansion team that has done really, really well. We've talked about Seattle a lot. Like I said, I expected this to be more high-scoring. Ottinger, there was a lot of questions. The goalie for the Stars going in with the game before, what had happened. But they were able to survive. This is why home field advantage, home court advantage, home ice advantage, when you get into the postseason, is so important. In case you get in that Game 7, you have a huge, huge advantage there at home. The atmosphere was electric, but good for the Stars, man. Good for the Stars moving on. Seattle, don't hang your head if you're a Kraken fan. You guys have sown the right seeds. Seattle's in a good place. I mean, from a sports standpoint, you look at what the Mariners, what we think they are and what they can do, what the Kraken did, and, what the Seahawks did last year with Geno Smith and re-signing him and having a good draft, in my opinion. It's good sports time in Seattle.
So in the West now, you're going to have the Stars facing the Golden Knights of Vegas, and then in the East, the Hurricanes and the Panthers.
I'm so ready for this Panthers-Canes series.
Yep.
Come on, Florida.
It's going to be juicy.
I picked the Canes to win it before we started in the playoffs,
I picked Florida.
Yeah, you did. You did.
We'll see. I didn't think that game yesterday was too boring.
2-1
game 7.
Well, what upset me was it was fast-paced, like we thought it was going to be with the way these two teams operate, but nobody could finish. And I thought that the goalies were good, but there were so many shots that were off target last night. I mean, guys, there was a couple times, and it was a genius. There was a penalty in the first period. I can't remember the Kraken defender that did it, but there was a rebound, and the goalie was out of place, and it was just going to be a tip-in, and he just cross-checked oh boy and got the penalty, and they were able to kill it during the power play and didn't give up a goal. But it just, I thought, it was like watching two basketball teams run up and down the court really fast, but nobody could make a shot. Like, that's what it was like to me.
Okay, well, I mean, if they needed to finish, there's one person we should have called to get that done.
Me.
That's David.
What'd you have the over at?
5.5. 5.5.
Tough.
All right, boys. NBA. Lakers Nuggets tonight.
Yeah, I really messed up. For some reason, I bet on this game yesterday. I don't know why in my mind I thought it was yesterday, and then I got home last night.
Did you?
Show
Yeah.
bet?
Yeah.
Attaboy.
I took the over. I just put. I
Did it
got to
hit?
take 3 today. Did not hit.
There you go.
So I get home last night. My soon-to-be mother-in-law, here in about 4 days, is in with us, and went to eat dinner. And I'm like, hey, we got to get back. The Nuggets-Lakers game's coming on, and I obviously have to watch this, and the Stars are coming on as well. And so we get back. It's got the Stars. I'm looking. I'm like, all right, NBA game comes on at 7:30. Got the Stars Kraken at 7. Sit down. I'm in my chair that has the light-up cup holders. That's super sweet. From cup
holders light up?
Yeah, I can hit a
Dude, I
button. They
didn't know
turn
that.
blue. Yeah, it's for real. And I'm sitting there watching it. Like it's like 7:27.
Here we go.
I'm like, oh, it's commercial. Here we go. LeBron, Jokic, AD, Jamal Murray. Hell, I'm excited about Austin Reeves and Aaron Gordon. And I'm looking through the guy, like, I'm thinking, I'm like, where is this? I can't find it. And then I looked, and it said Tuesday at 7:30.
I didn't hear that pick from you yesterday.
Yeah, had the over 222.5. It hadn't moved. It's been the same.
Gotcha.
So, no, I mean, look, whenever I see series like this, and everybody, and they should, they're going to talk about LeBron and Anthony Davis for the Lakers. They're going to talk about Jokic and Jamal Murray for the Nuggets. I think these guys will go get theirs. I think they will. AD will see the consistency. I think this series is going to be decided by role players. I think it's going to be decided by guys like Aaron Gordon. I think it's going to be decided by guys like D'Angelo Russell. Hachimura. Guys coming off the bench who can play the most team-efficient basketball. And I'm not just talking about turnovers. I'm not just talking about making the smart play. But who can score points when the Stars aren't scoring? Because you go through stretches where the Stars are going to struggle. Jokic doesn't struggle a ton. When AD's cooking, he's absolutely cooking. We know about LeBron, and then Jamal Murray can absolutely fill it up. But Bruce Brown, guys like that, who is going to step up and make the plays? And we saw Landry Shamet do it for the Suns in the fourth quarter sometimes. There's been guys that step up out of nowhere and have big quarters.
We saw that with who? The Lakers. Lonnie Walker.
Lonnie Walker's a great example. Who is that going to be?
Points. You know, there's always going to be some guy in this series that's going to surprise people, right? But I can't wait to watch the matchup between Anthony Davis and Jokic.
Oh, must see
Especially
TV.
prime Anthony Davis right now, if he's healthy, not in a wheelchair, you know, is really pissed off walking to a game. You're going to see two guys, maybe the top 3 when it comes to the 5 position.
Not to Mark Jackson, though.
In NBA. Well, we all know why that is. But I think the Lakers win this series. I do. I think Anthony Davis and LeBron are better than Jamal Murray and Jokic combined. I think Austin Reeves is going to have a big series, and I don't think the role players are going to play phenomenal for the Nuggets. Gordon's a mystery sometimes. He's super athletic, can jump out of the gym, not an elite scorer. Caldwell Pope. That's who you want to watch.
You got to watch out.
If there's anything he could
Georgia.
do his entire career is what he could put the ball in the basket. He was doing that with the Lakers when he was there. But it's going to be an interesting series. But I do have the Lakers, I believe, in 6.
Okay, so the Lakers are plus 200 tonight. You think they go get game 1?
I wouldn't be surprised if they did. I really wouldn't be surprised. I feel like if you're a betting man, all right, which I am, go ahead and put some money on that plus 200.
That's a nice
Because
line.
it's like the thing about it is like I look at it as this: if Jokic cancels out. Right, AD. They both cancel each other out. I don't think Jamal. I think Schroeder can play defense on Jamal Murray.
Man, I don't know.
To a certain extent, I think Schroeder's, when it comes to being handsy and one of those guys, Schroeder's that guy you get in front of him. I'm talking about Jamal not dropping a 30-piece, right, in that 22 to 25 range. Even when you're 38 years old, LeBron has to be the difference in this series. He has to be. And I think he will do that. I wouldn't be surprised to see a Celtics-Lakers final.
I like the Nuggets in this series. strategically, I'm very interested to see how they approach Anthony Davis with Jokic. Because if it was me, I would look at Jokic before the game and all week and say, listen, you need to take that ball every time you get it right at Anthony Davis and try and get him in foul trouble. Because if they're able to get Anthony Davis in foul trouble, there is no other answer down low for Jokic. There is not. You can try and put LeBron on him. You can try and put anybody on him. But Jokic and LeBron sharing something that, and I know that Jokic isn't the best defender. I think he's a good defender. I don't think he's a great defender. That's why I think Anthony Davis' ceiling is higher. But I feel like Jokic and LeBron touch the game in every single way. Every single way. Anthony Davis isn't going to sit up there and fill it up from three. Jokic can go hit 5 threes in a game if he has to. The ability to pass, but the ability to make the right decision with the ball, because we know that the ball will run through LeBron for the Lakers and it will run through Jokic for the Nuggets.
Yeah.
And one plays guard or wing, however you want to put it, and one's in the front court. But I'm very interested to see how the Nuggets attack Anthony Davis. Because if it's me, there's one guy I'm going after, because there's one guy I think I can rattle. You're not going to throw LeBron out of his element.
No.
Just ask Dylan Brooks. All right, some of these other guys, I think it's kind of a waste of time a little bit. I think you can get at AD a little bit. I think you can get AD frustrated, and I wouldn't be shocked if they went at him early. Because again, AD's going to go for the blocks, and he's going to get some. He's going to play physical on defense. But how are they going to call the game? That's what it's going to come down to. If it's ticky-tack, I like the Nuggets by double digits.
Well, that's the right strategy, not just for the foul trouble aspect, but go at him every play because he's proven to be fragile. You know, if Anthony Davis has to miss a half of basketball or even a full game because of some nick here or there or an injury, then that just increases the Nuggets' chances of winning that game in the series.
Well, I would say this. That's a great plan for the Nuggets. If I'm the Lakers, I have the exact same plan. Because if you can get anybody in foul trouble, you can get Jokic in foul trouble, just as important to Anthony Davis. And if you can get in anybody's head, who would that be? There's one guy who will show frustration on the court, especially towards the refs. That's Jokic, right? We've seen that in plenty of series. So I can understand the game plan for both sides, but I think Anthony Davis, from a toughness standpoint, has something to prove in the series, and I think he does.
I see. Real quick, I know we got to move on, but I don't ever see Jokic get rattled. Like I haven't seen him. I mean, everybody gets frustrated. You get frustrated with the officials. We've seen that from everybody. But
when did you see Anthony Davis get rattled?
Yeah. Well, I've seen Anthony Davis get upset after getting fouled, just like Jokic. But to me, like to Cone's point, one of the reasons you go at him is because he gets hurt very easily. He's Mr. Glass from Unbreakable. I mean, you watch him get hit on the wrist. He left in a wheelchair after getting hit in the back of the head.
Yeah, you said get in his head, get frustrated.
Yeah.
I mean, getting
beat
injured
him up.
Okay, beat
him up. Make it physical. It's just like that big guy you see in football all the time that everybody's afraid to run at. But when they run at his ass and keep running, all of a sudden he gets hurt and you soften him up, and then he gives in. That's what I think. I don't think Anthony Davis is going to get pissed off at the officials and just be out of his element. I'm talking about the physical part of it, because that's what takes him out of these games.
You ready to move on?
Yep.
Oh. Sports Illustrated. What does Sports Illustrated doing these days? I mean, I never really subscribed to Sports Illustrated, but I do know that there has been a change here. Well, there's Martha Stewart, first of all.
I don't mind that.
No, I don't mind Martha.
Look, I look that good when I'm 80.
She's 81. Can you believe that?
81 years old, dude.
No, look, I'm totally cool with that. You want to put Martha Stewart in Sports Illustrated? Great.
I don't disagree. Where's the other one? That's what I was.
Yeah. Show that.
I guess we don't have it.
Oh, there
we go. Kim Petras. That's a guy.
That's a dude.
I'm having a hard time just understanding like why the appeal of this. Like, who runs out to go get a Sports Illustrated because there's a dude that got surgery to be a girl and now thinks he's a girl? But the sad part is, we're getting to the point nowadays in society where with photography and all stuff that you can get tricked. Like, you can get tricked. Like, if you flew somebody in here from, Argentina and they didn't know anything different, they're going to say that's a girl. All right? And this is going to be a problem with this disorder that's going around. People are going to start showing up that look like women.
Like lawsuit.
Like lawsuit. Because I'm going to tell you right now, if for some reason I was tricked into thinking you were a girl the whole time, and I found out you were a guy later. We're going to have a problem.
Wasn't that going around on TikTok last week?
No, I've seen multiple examples of it, but this does nothing but reinforce this. Why don't you put this in Trans Illustrated?
Where's the other one? Is there another transgender on the cover of Sports Illustrated?
This is the second one.
This one was a couple of years ago. I believe this was 2021.
That guy was born with a wiener.
The thing about it,
wow.
The thing about it is this: it's like it's hard to tell. Look, it's hard to tell these days. But there's one thing that will never change. Okay, you notice why they're not taking. There's no feet in this picture. Right? They can change all they want, but look at those feet. I promise you, you can tell a guy's feet. All right. If you feel like there's some up in the air that you don't feel great about, look at the feet. All right. They're size 11s. You know what the deal is.
It's so
that's
funny.
the truest thing I ever heard.
It's so funny you say that because my daughter, when she was born, weighed more than my son and was longer, and her feet were about half the size.
That's how you
Dude, that is that may be a top 3 smartest thing.
Hold on, go back to the other one. Are there feet in the other one?
Yeah,
No, they won't put them there.
We see those canoes in there?
Yeah.
No, there's no feet pic.
Size 12 in that water.
Yeah.
Right there.
That's a great. You're on to something.
Look, again, there's no hatred. Like, do what you want to do. Do what you need to do. But all I hear is, this is all about acceptance. You just we have to accept and being tolerant. No, then why are you on the cover of Sports Illustrated?
Yeah.
It's about promotion.
I don't have to.
This is about promoting this.
Yeah. Well,
my
thing is what is there not enough Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition? It's like Bud Light, man. You built your brand on one thing. You've been running the same play and it works. Why are y'all switching up the play? Why are y'all running a trick play? Why are you running a trick play, Sports Illustrated swimsuit 2023? I don't want to see Kyle Petras or whoever this is in a bikini in a pool.
Kim Petras.
Oh, excuse me.
Kim Petras, okay?
Excuse me.
Hey,
butterfly flying against the wind.
don't you ever dead name that person again.
Blade said, look at the feet. That is
also,
so true.
I've been reliably informed that it's all about how you identify and feel. You don't have to change anything. I can just be a girl now. So why are the ones who only participate in the performative elements of being a woman, like with the long hair and the makeup and the lipstick and the bigger boobs and like when Caitlyn Jenner got all dressed up, why are those the ones who are only the ones on the cover of magazines?
Because they're acceptable.
Right, exactly. That's my point. So it's like I thought it was about the inner.
They're not
going to put
identity.
Gorlock the Destroyer on there.
Why not?
First of all, that magazine isn't big enough.
Why not? Is he any less of a girl?
Second of all,
is he any less of a girl?
Blade said the
What if you ask
magazine
me?
isn't big enough.
Is he any less than a girl?
Exactly.
I don't know what's going on anymore.
He said, look at the feet. God, that needs to be on a pillow.
Last one.
Oh.
Last one. Matt Ryan.
Yeah.
Going to CBS.
Yeah.
Announcer.
Should be good.
Should be good.
Should be really good. I think Matt Ryan, or as I call him, that's probably David Cohn.
Huh?
Y'all do look a lot.
Y'all really
He's got some years on you for sure, right? But y'all really do. What is he, 6'5"?
Yeah.
I'm telling you. Have you pulled up your ancestry?
Have we seen Matt Ryan and David Cohn in the same room before?
I don't know.
Actually, we have been.
Both
when I directed the
Really?
Falcons. When I directed the
Both
Falcons hype video.
Speaking about being confused,
Right.
well, I will never doubt, and some guys can't. I don't even want to use this term anymore. Transition well into the booth.
Wow.
I'm sorry. This is what y'all do to me.
Good.
This is what y'all do to me. But I think Matt can. I think Matt is articulate enough. He obviously knows the game. I love having guys in there that know the game. And we're going to get to our top 5 sports commentators of all time. And one of my top 5 is a former quarterback. And I think it is just so much more fun to watch because they actually understand what they're talking about on a fundamental level. It's kind of like with us on our show. There's a lot of sports shows out there that guys are like, oh, they need to run the ball better, or this quarterback doesn't throw the ball good enough. Well, my goldfish can tell you that, right? Why? Why do they need to run the ball better? Is it too much gap scheme? Right? Are they not big enough to go, base block, man on man? Do they need to more zone, inside, outside, stuff like that? They can articulate the game in a way that's not only informative, but it's fresh and it's new. So I think Matt is good enough. We obviously know that he knows the game. You've heard him talk before. He conducts himself very well in interviews. Now, he did say he's not retiring. This is not a retirement post. Will somebody pick him up? I'd rather have him than Carson Wentz. I can go ahead and tell you that right now. So, but I think it's a good hire, and I think he'll do a good job.
So it's not so he hasn't even officially retired.
No.
Matt, retire. It's time.
It's time to retire.
It's time, bud. Like, you can barely throw it 20 yards.
But look, I'm still waiting on calls, so I get it, you know.
Well, I mean, I think
if they call him, they basically call you. And in a package deal?
Yeah.
Like, y'all just trade out days?
Our bank accounts are a package deal.
Yeah, you need to have a talk with them about that. You're really getting stiff.
Elon too.
Yeah.
You're really
getting, if you had as much money as the people you look like, I mean, you'd be king.
Boys.
Yeah, you would.
You'd be king.
You'd legitimately be king.
We'll work on that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Booster Club.
Yep.
Let's go to DWise188. Says, good morning, fellas. Good morning to you. Can't watch the whole live stream today, but wanted to wish y'all the best of time this weekend celebrating Jake and Reed. God bless both of you.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate that.
That's a $5 donation. Appreciate it, man.
Super excited. Super excited. All right. Let's get to our buddy, Brandon Marcello, who I'm so intrigued to ask about this because he is so in tune with what's going on in the college football world, and he's amazingly good looking. Brandon Marcello. Brandon, what's up, man?
Not much. By the way, I think it's breaking news that you have a goldfish that can talk. Yes. That's crazy.
Yeah, it drowned the other day, so I'm kind of upset about it. I'm going to have to go get a new one. I don't know if they make the ones that talk anymore. I kind of found that one in some obscure pet store that I don't know.
The fish drowned.
Yeah.
And it could talk.
Yeah.
Congratulations. That was your uncle.
Yeah, that's true. Well, don't worry. My uncle's even worse than that. But, Brandon, besides the breaking news of my goldfish, the ACC, they're having their meetings, you know, and we heard Florida State and there were some rumblings, there were some other schools talking about we can't survive if we're taking a $30 million cut compared to the SEC and the Big Ten and teams like Florida. And now you're hearing terms like the Magnificent Seven are coming together to find a way if they can break the blood oath that they gave to the contract, the ACC, through 2036. Is this just disgruntled people that realize they're not making as much money for a similar product? Or do you think there's an actual way that they could break this blood oath and be able to get out?
I think if there was a way for them to break this grant of rights contract, they would have done so already. I think a lot of this is empty threats that they're hoping carries weight in the boardrooms here at the ACC spring meetings. This thing is so fascinating for a lot of reasons, but number one, they came into these meetings, so that group, as you mentioned, trying to figure out a way to maybe adopt an uneven revenue distribution model, which if you guys know, like in the Big 12, OU and Texas were getting more money than the other teams in the conference there to keep them happy because they're the big boys. They get all the eyes on television and everything. So Florida State, Miami, North Carolina, they're wanting that in the ACC. The problem is that even in this revenue model that they're discussing, they're just talking about it on a merit-based system. So, for example, Florida State should be really good in football this year, maybe a playoff team. So they would get a bigger payday from whatever the payout is from the college football playoff or a big-time bowl game. But that's negligible money. We're talking less than like $10 million in addition to what maybe they're making now. And if we're going off a merit-based system, the Florida State even a year ago, let alone 3 years ago, would be getting nothing compared to what they might get this year. So if we're going year to year to year, this all kind of evens out anyway, and you're not going to make up the gap even if you were a playoff team every single year between you and the SEC and the Big Ten. So it's a lot of teams, including these big dogs, trying to figure out a way to rattle the cages and see if anybody pays attention to them. And what made it so interesting here yesterday when they opened up the spring meetings is everybody went into those meetings ready to talk, excited, all these ideas and everything. And then that report came out, which, you know, credit Brett McMurphy for putting that out there, but it really was nothing new. Everybody in that room knew that these 7 teams, or for that matter, pretty much every program in that room has been looking at the grant of rights, at looking at the possibilities of what the future could hold for them. But the timing of it and the tenor of it these 7 teams maybe would break away and start their own conference or something like that, that made for a interesting dynamic, I'm told, in the meeting room.
Yeah.
And the meetings went a little bit longer than they were expected. And all of a sudden, all these chatty ADs and administrators going into the meetings came out silent with their heads down and walked quickly past the media because they did not want to have to deal with any of this. It's this is a conference that's just not prepared to deal with all this, which is crazy to think because all we've been talking about in the college landscape every offseason is conference realignment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's shocking how you obviously wouldn't be in a position to be able to at least have a better response to something coming out like this in a certain time because things don't drop. It's like Texas and Oklahoma during SEC Media Days a couple years ago. That dropped right before for specific reasons. They do it for reasons. But Brandon, I do want to play the hypothetical game. We have the luxury of being able to do that. Give me one or two teams from the ACC, if you're the SEC, that you think would be the best fit to go from the ACC to the SEC, or if there's just one in particular, who kind of stands out to you?
Florida State's the obvious one, and then I'll throw out another one that maybe not a lot of people talk about, Virginia Tech. There was talks years ago, in fact, about the fit of Virginia Tech in the SEC, and there's a lot of reasons why that would fit with the administrations at those places, but also just kind of the academic fit and all of that. Virginia Tech, I think, is a program and across all athletics and all sports that would fit very well in the SEC. Florida State's a no-brainer, and they should have joined the SEC 25, 30 years ago, but decided not to. I'm not so sure that a Clemson is actually a good fit. Just over the years, talking to the people at Clemson, the fan base, the way they go about things, it seems like a natural fit, one, geographically, but also, hey, they're great at football, right? Year to year. Yeah. But I just don't think, like, culture-wise and academically and everything, it is quite the right fit in the SEC. But I think the two best schools overall is Florida State and Virginia Tech.
Yeah. So, Brandon, can you break down how ESPN factors into this situation? Because ESPN has the media rights for the SEC as well as the ACC. So some of those top dogs like Florida State and Clemson and the ACC, they can be upset at the lack of revenue sharing, but they're not driving as much revenue as their counterpart from the same buyer. Is that right?
Yeah, that's what's so interesting about this is that ESPN's standing in the background like, yeah, we're the one paying you guys. We're handing out the same checks to everybody. And the ACC is just not as worth as much as the others. But Florida State and Clemson and Miami know that they're worth more than everybody else in the ACC. And that if they were being paid fairly, hey, I'm the president of this company, so to speak. You're working underneath me. It's kind of the way Florida State and Miami and Clemson kind of see all of this, and they should be getting paid more. But what has not been factored in all this and discussed here yet at ACC spring meetings is this unequal revenue distribution that they're talking about. ESPN money, TV revenue money is not even factored into this. They're not even discussing really how do you maybe go about and say, well, Florida State, for example, they have averaged 3.1 million viewers for each regular season football game from 2014 through 2021.
Yep.
That's by far the best audience and reach in all the ACC. So how do you quantify that and say, well, we deserve an extra 10% of the TV revenue compared to, say, a Wake Forest or whatever? How do you do that year to year to year? Well, they're trying to figure that out, these people who are trying to pitch it, Florida State and Clemson, but I'm not so sure that the conference office or ESPN and, of course, some of their colleagues are even open to that idea, let alone trying to explore what that would look like. So when we talk about more money for Florida State and Clemson, if they were to stay in the ACC, we're talking about, hey, you make the playoff, you get a little bit of a bigger share of that payout from the playoff and from the bowl system, not from that ESPN contract that's paying, $36 million on average to each school. Again, we're talking negligible money here in this system that's being pitched. And maybe if you included TV revenue, a Florida State or a Clemson will close that gap a little bit further with the SEC and Big Ten, but they still wouldn't get there. This is just a lot of people pinching pennies, looking in the couch cushions, trying to find change. And I'm not even sure there's even change in the couch.
Yeah, I just finished watching that movie Air last night when Michael Jordan's mom was asking for a revenue share from Nike, and they're like, nah, that's never been done. She's like, well, it'll be done now if you want us to sign. So they can figure out some sort of way to make it work. As far as the Big Ten and Fox, how do they factor into this? And if you do see some sort of split up of these 7 schools or even, the entirety of the ACC, can you see the Big Ten expanding with USC and UCLA not even on board in the conference yet?
I mean, maybe, but the thing is there, of course, the Big Ten is shifting into a new administration with Tony Petitti, the new commissioner, taking over for Kevin Warren. And remember, guys, a couple of years ago, or last year or so, the Big Ten administrators, I'm talking about presidents and chancellors, did not want to expand. And Kevin Warren kind of went against their wishes by getting USC and UCLA. Of course, to them, more money and, oh, this is a good idea, Kevin. But after that, it was very clear again. They're like, we don't want to expand further. Let's not do this. Kevin, though, was still open to the opportunity and the idea of maybe expanding beyond USC and UCLA. But now that he's out and Tony Petitti is in, remember, the people who hired and vetted and interviewed people for this commissioner job are those same presidents and chancellors. Yep. They hire someone that agrees with their way of thinking. And in the midst of all this conference realignment, I can assure you, what do you see for the future of the Big Ten and the expansion was a question that was asked, and they want them to align with their thinking. Not to say that if it becomes clear that the ACC is about to dissolve, the Big Ten might go, well, maybe we could pick and choose a couple of teams here. But right now, there is no reason to believe that the Big Ten, under its new commissioner, Tony Petitti, is as aggressive as they were a year or two ago under Kevin Warren.
It's good to know.
Love that. All right, Brandon, I'm going to get straight to the Booster Club here. Jimbo Eagle with a $10 donation. He says, question for Brandon. He wants to know, what should the northern teams in the ACC, like my Syracuse Orange, do? Should we look to join the Big Ten or simply just rejoin the Big East and sacrifice our football profile?
Well, I almost thought you were going to say sacrifice our football team completely, just get rid of it. You need to split off again and just reform the football division of the Big East once again. But you're right. I mean, what happens to programs that are just kind of floating out there? I mean, remember this new ACC that formed, so to speak, with the likes of Miami and everything, with the Big East and it falling apart and everything. Like, there's still a lot of disconnect among some programs in the ACC, especially the newer ones, and how they even fit in the ACC still, in the power dynamics in those meeting rooms, for example, here at Amelia Island, Florida this week. It's, listen, every family has its drama and everything, but it's just fascinating this week to walk in here and everybody kind of just being gung-ho and not really thinking about anything. And then all of a sudden reality hits them of, oh, yeah, that's right. We have a lot of members who are not happy right now. And then they walk into that room and walk back out with somber looks on their faces. It's crazy to me. They just ignored reality.
To me, it's like you go to like a family gathering or a family meal and everybody's showing up and happy. Hey, how you doing? Then you sit down at the table to eat, and one person has some beef with somebody and they bring it up at the table, and it just changes the mood of everything. I get those vibes.
Okay, I love that. I'm not that guy though. Right?
Huh?
At a family dinner, I didn't do that, did I?
No,
you're busy eating.
Yeah,
for sure. All right, let's go to Moses Denton. Brandon, he wants to know: do you think Clemson will win the ACC?
Nah, Florida State.
I'm with you. I'm with you, Brandon.
They're deeper this year. I'm still not sold on Clemson's receivers. I think they've obviously upgraded a little bit there at quarterback, but I'm not sold on the receivers still. I still think the receivers at Clemson were the issue the last couple of years, not necessarily DJ Uyunglele. Those receivers just weren't getting great separation. And I love Garrett Riley, the hire of him from TCU as the offensive coordinator. That offense is going to be better, but is it going to be as explosive as the Clemson offenses we saw previously under Trevor Lawrence when he was the quarterback there? Not so sure about that, but Florida State, I tell you, I think their offense is about to just be covered in jet fuel this year.
I agree.
They are going to be dynamic, and they're deeper than they have been in a decade. Give me Florida State.
That LSU FSU game.
Can't wait.
It's going to be prime time cut. Brandon Marcello, college football reporter for 247 Sports, does an incredible job. Brandon, we couldn't have thought of anybody better to have on to talk about this situation. I mean, you got it covered like a warm blanket in the wintertime, my friend. Tell everybody where they can find your work. I know I said 247 Sports, but you're everywhere, dog.
Yeah, Twitter, Facebook, MySpace. Is that still a thing?
No way.
Yeah, I'll tell Tom.
Put me in your top 5 on MySpace.
Yeah, please. I want to be Brandon Marcello's top 5. Brandon, really appreciate it, buddy. Thank you.
See you guys.
All right, Brandon Marcello, again, out there covering it. I mean, when they have Pac-12 meetings, he's out there. Big Ten meetings, he's out. He's like Carmen Sandiego. You never know where in the world he is. We got It's Mid coming up, but I do want to get to the Bishop.
Yeah, we got some donations.
Yeah, what you get in that donation?
Let's go back to Jimbo Eagles from earlier, $2 donation. She says, did Kay Perkins' comments prevent Jokic from winning the MVP?
No.
I don't think so.
No, I don't. And I don't have a problem with Embiid winning the MVP. Like, I don't think it's racist that Embiid won the MVP over Jokic. When I look at the numbers, and I know that right now it's sour because the Sixers just lost again before they even got to the conference finals. I get that. But when let's look at it offensively, I would take Jokic over Embiid. I would, offensively. Passing, I think it's about even. I think the difference, in my opinion, in Embiid and Jokic, the biggest difference is I think Embiid's a much better defender. They both move well. They both bend well. They both can shoot, whether that's mid-range. They're good from three-point. We know what they can do on the inside. And something they share, there has been big moments in the playoffs where they've both disappeared. So I don't think you can look and split it and say, oh, Jokic was clearly the MVP, and Embiid only got it because of immutable characteristics. I don't buy into that.
All right, let's go to Dawson Malachi with a $5 donation. Appreciate it, Dawson. Says, does Carson Beck have the mobility to extend a play when it breaks down like Stetson? As a Georgia fan, it's the only thing I'm worried about with Beck.
That's a great question, Dawson. You've obviously been listening to the show because we talk about this all the time. He is not outside of the pocket as athletic as Stetson Bennett, but that does not mean that he can't extend the play from outside the pocket. But I think what you're going to see from Carson Beck is he's going to try and extend the play from within the pocket more. I think he's going to hang in the pocket longer because he realizes who he is. You know, and that isn't to say that he's some robot or he's some statue that can't move. But Stetson legitimately could run. I think people slept on Stetson's athletic ability and his wiggle. He's got kind of that JUCO movement in the back. He rolls left, rolls right, is able to reset his feet and do things like that. But what I'm interested to see is I think Georgia's offensive line this year could be the best offensive line they've had since Kirby Smart's been there. And again, you want guys to stay in the pocket and go through progression.
Exactly.
So while he isn't as athletic as Stetson, and he's not going to make the wow play outside of the pocket to make a guy miss, I think he's going to hang in the pocket longer, which does have its benefits. Each one has its benefits. You'd love a guy to be able to do both well, but I don't think it's going to harm Georgia's offense to the point where they're ineffective because he's not as wiggly as Stetson is outside the pocket.
When Brock Bowers is open, get him the ball.
That's exactly.
When he's not open, get him the ball.
Yeah.
I want the Georgia quarterback running as little as possible.
Well, he's like Waffle. Brock Bowers is like Waffle House. He's always open and it's always good.
Get him the ball.
Let's go to Bry Ganter with a $5 donation. Appreciate it. Says, are the Crain and Co. boys coming to Omaha this year for the College World Series, and who wins it?
I want to really bad. Been twice. Love it. The scenery, all of it. It's fantastic. City of Omaha, got Crain right there. It's great city. Good breweries. I love downtown Omaha. It's been a while, but I can still remember. Anyway, we don't have any plans to right now, okay? I'm going to Joe Biden this thing. We don't have any plans to right now, all right? But we might.
But we'll circle back.
We'll circle back.
Who
wins it? LSU's bullpen is scaring me.
Okay.
I'm scared.
Cone?
But I still take LSU.
How about, would this be the year I should take Tennessee when they're not the favorite? When they're not the favorite.
Cone, you do this in every sport. Cone's like, I'm not taking Tennessee. Yeah. We're going to have it through the years. Like, you know what? It's Tennessee.
It's like the Maple Leafs.
Yeah.
I'm trying to support my home state, and they're not supporting.
Why won't you die?
Let's go to Nathan Johnston, $5 donation. Nathan, appreciate it, brother. Says, y'all seen Arkansas's new $27 million baseball facility?
You talking about the stadium?
He's talking about that new $27 million baseball facility.
Look, Baum is incredible. If there's it must be a new hitting or performance center for kids who want to get better at baseball and do other stuff good too. But look, Arkansas, I believe, what was I watching? It was the SEC Network, and they took, I think Texas A&M's coach and the AD, he went and showed them Arkansas stuff, which your stuff's good when Texas A&M's folks are rolling in there like, we need this. Because they got more. You think, hey, A&M's got more money than anybody. Look, Arkansas's got some cash, too. A little thing called Walmart.
All right, let's go to CG87343, $5 donation. Says, Matt is cool and would be good in the booth, but he'll always be remembered for 28-3.
I know, it's the first thing I thought. That's every time you say Matt Ryan, it's the first thing I think.
Run it.
Run it.
Run it.
Run. I am running. I don't care what play was called. I don't care if Shanahan said, guys, this is guaranteed to score 100%. I am running the ball. Fire me. What are you going to do? Fire me after we win the Super Bowl? You going to cut me? You going to trade me after we win the Super Bowl? I put it just as much on Matt Ryan as I do on Shanahan. But it's that deep, that greedy quarterback. Y'all just can't stand it. Quarterback in the OC. Oh, we got to throw it. I want to throw 5 touchdowns in the Super Bowl. No, you're going to throw away the Super Bowl.
So greedy, David.
Greedy.
Not the guy on the other side of it. Not Tom Brady.
No.
The only thing he's greedy about is getting those rings.
Yeah, Tom Brady's like, check down, run. Where's Julian?
All right,
Hey, Brady's over here like, no. He's shaking off plays to Byron Leftwich. Like, we're not running that.
Zone.
All right, Colson Duggins, $2 donation, start bench cut.
Okay.
All right, mid QBs. All right, Ryan. Okay, I'm guessing that's Matt Ryan. Maybe it's Matt Ryan. All right, Carson Wentz and Ryan Tannehill.
I'm starting Matt Ryan. This is a tough one.
Bench Tannehill, come on.
I've got to bench Tannehill because just Carson Wentz, they're just, number one, something about him I don't trust. And number two, like, he just can't do it. Can't do it. And again, seems like a great guy, great teammate, great husband, great father. And that's great. That's what matters the most. Not a great quarterback.
Matt Ryan's head and shoulders above those guys.
Yeah.
Now, was he throwing to Julio Jones? Yeah. Makes it easier.
Roddy Wyatt's pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah, but what quarterback? I mean, what?
No, true.
What great quarterback hasn't had great receivers?
It's me. I'm starting Matty Ice. Obviously, I'm benching Carson Wentz, and look, I don't have to cut you, Ryan, but you can play receiver.
Yeah, you want to go out wide?
You gonna cut?
Speaking of Texas A&M,
Yeah.
Have you seen the way that he turns around and hands it off to Derrick Henry?
That's so
How
good.
dare you?
yeah,
That's so
he's a
good.
great hander offer.
All right, one more, I believe, by CG87343. $5 donation. Why is it those who win the Heisman end up going bust in the NFL? True, not always, but there does seem to be a somewhat resembling pattern.
That's a different game.
Mm-hmm.
Same sport, different game.
It is.
You can control a lot more in college. I mean, we've seen guys uber athletic that are able to manipulate the game more and have more of an impact on the game outside of sitting in the pocket and making the right read and delivering a good ball. In the NFL, it's just different. The talent gap is so much smaller that it requires a different skill set to achieve that type of success in the NFL than you did in college. And in college, there's a lot more different systems that are run offensively than you see in the NFL. There's a reason it's called a pro-style system. Not that everybody runs the same thing, but it's all from the same family, I guess, family tree. In college, you have a team run the triple option, you have a team run the air raid, you have some team running just true RPO game. In the NFL, it's a little bit different. So it's same sport, different game.
A lot of those guys get injured too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a physical game.
All right, we got a couple more donations here. You want me to hit these?
Yeah, let's hit them and then we'll get to it, Smith.
Okay, Lance Weaver, $5 donation. Lance, appreciate it, brother. Says, this is for all of you. Who should have won the Heisman but didn't? And why is it Darren McFadden? My son Jordan wants to know.
Darren McFadden was incredible. I got to see him in person. The year where they had him, Felix Jones, and Peyton Hillis was...
Dude, that SEC championship between them and Florida.
Oh, my gosh.
That.
That was an absolute war.
Ridiculous.
Fantastic game to watch. Peyton Manning. It's Peyton Manning. I'm sorry, David. I know Charles Woodson won it, went to Michigan. And yeah, I'm not saying Charles Woodson didn't deserve it, but Peyton Manning should have won the Heisman.
Just the fact that Tua Tagovailoa didn't win one after the year that he put up. And again, I don't think it was a situation where he was robbed because he got hurt down the stretch that year. Just like we're talking about Blake Corum last season. I thought Blake Corum was putting himself in a position to win the award, but he got hurt against Illinois. So there's a lot of great guys who haven't won it.
Mm-hmm. All right, Cole Frink, $5 donation. Appreciate it, Cole. Hashtag Ask Crain and Company. Will y'all go to a Wisconsin Badgers game and experience the fifth quarter?
I would love to do that, but here's the problem. We got to watch all the games. Like, I wish it could just be like, hey, all right, we're going to go watch Wisconsin play Penn State this weekend. All right, we're just going to focus on that. No, I get it like the architect from The Matrix. And I act like it's a bad thing. I love to do it. Sit and watch all these TVs, all these games. I'll watch FCS. I'll watch Sunbelt. I just want college football back.
It's coming.
And I want it now.
All right, that's all the donations.
All right, it's mid. Make sure you subscribe.
Tell
Hit
us
that
what's
like
mid.
button.
Tony, here,
I want to find out what's
I have to
mid.
go move this table.
Let me talk to the chat for a little bit.
Yeah, get in there.
You
What happened to the Star Trooper helmet?
You won't do it. You want Stormtrooper? What's a Star Trooper?
I'd say Star Trooper, sorry.
Have you even seen Star Wars?
Have you
Boba
even
Fett.
seen Star
Isn't
Wars?
that Boba Fett? Oh, excuse me.
Mandalorian's
Okay, it's
trash.
his brother, the Mandalorian.
Do I look jacked when I do this? All right, run the graphic. It's mid, folks. It's mid today. A lot of things we got to get to. Make sure we're quiet over there and paying attention. David,
Huh?
shut up. Okay?
How did he know I was talking?
Watch your mouth.
I'm having a conversation with the
I can
Booster
see
Club,
where my
okay?
mouth is. All right, welcome to It's Mid. This first one, it's going to be pretty easy. All right, picture this now. Can you imagine facing an alien invasion? All right, but instead of the Hulk, Iron Man, Thor coming down to save you, you know who it is? It's a 5'8" guy with a bow. With a bow, David. I'm sorry, all right? The real ones know. The only true OG when it comes to a bow is who? It's Legolas.
Hey.
All right? That's who it is. And I can't believe in this superheroes and Hawkeye who can't even win against a snowplow. All right, next one. Glad you know, okay. Next one on the docket, people who drive cop cars. You're the worst. What pisses me off the most is you knew exactly what you were doing when you bought it. The amount of times I had to slam on the brakes because you want to feel more important than you actually are. Look, I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. Just like your parents. All right? This last one hurt. No, this last one hit close to home to me. Miller Lite. They really be your own people. All right? The one positive thing I can say about this commercial is at least there were actual women in it. There's nothing I like more, after a long day, hard day of work, is getting home and getting lectured about my gender by my beer that I'm drinking. All right? Miller Lite went woke. All right? But remember who they're owned by, and that's Coors. All right? You know what we saw with Bud Light. We know what we got to do. It's time to get our boycott going, y'all. All right? And I want y'all two to see this commercial if you haven't seen it already. Go ahead and run it.
Should it really be your own? Ooh.
Here's a little known fact. Women were among the very first to brew beer ever. From Mesopotamia to the Middle Ages to colonial America, women were the ones doing the brewing. Centuries later, how did the industry pay homage to the founding mothers of beer? They put us in bikinis. Wow. Look at this wild. It's time beer made it up to women. So today, Miller Lite is on a mission to clean up not just their but the whole beer industry's Miller Lite has been scouring the internet for all this and buying it back so that they can turn it into good for women brewers. Literally, good How, you ask?
Oh, boy.
Ladies, take it away.
First, we turn the bad into compost. Then we feed compost to worms. Push out beautiful fertilizer.
That good helps farmers grow quality hops,
which is then donated to women brewers to make their own really good
But there's definitely more out there. In your attic, in the garage, in your parents' basement. Send any you got into Miller Lite, and they'll turn that into good too. Oh. So here's to women, because without us, there would be no beer.
Okay.
Then why didn't you start the company? You could have founded the company.
Thoughts?
I'm looking here. Frederick Miller started Miller Lite.
I feel like Dr. Evil on Austin Powers when like Scott just wants him to shoot Austin Powers in front of everybody, but he just wants to put him in the cave and shut the door and assume he died. And he just looks at him. He's like, Scott, you don't get it.
That's how you feel after watching that?
You don't. Now this isn't as bad as putting Dylan Mulvaney on a can. I mean, these are actual women. I mean, it's a step up. But if I'm Miller Lite, like, why? Why? Like, what do you gain from this? How many women are sitting there like, you know what? Instead of that martini or that margarita, I'm going to drink a Miller Lite because of this. This just doesn't make sense to me. This is like Snickers trying to advertise to anorexics. Like, you know who drinks Miller Lite? We do. And not that I hope women have something to do with beer. I don't, but why are you shoving it down my face? Why? How can you run the same play for 20 years, whether it's Anheuser-Busch or whatever, so we have commercials on TV, whatever, and you're running, and it's working, and it's working, and it's working, and then all of a sudden, what does Heath Ledger and the Joker say? You lose your minds! You just go crazy and start talking about paying homage to women in beer. How about this? Make good beer, make funny commercials, and men and women will drink it. But why are you just trying to alienate? Or I don't, somebody explain it to me. What does Michael Scott say? He's like, explain it to me like I'm 5. And it's like, all right, now explain it to me like I'm 3.
Why are they bleeping out words in there, by the way?
Well, it's not funny.
That's the thing. If you're going to bleep out a word that you're like not supposed to use, then I need to be laughing hard.
Yeah, it's just not funny. Read a room. You know what I'm saying? Like know who your demographic is. It's guys. All right, there's not a lot of women out there going to buy 12 packs of Miller.
Well, you know how I feel like made this commercial? Women. I feel like it was a woman. Like, who did the Bud Light thing? The woman.
I still know
like,
how you...
Not saying you don't let women make... That's not what I'm saying. Saying you don't let women make decisions, but like at some point, some guy's got to go in there and just like be like,
well,
that's not...
After what Bud Light did, it has to be so easy to make a beer commercial now. Because you just can't what? Just don't screw it up, right? Just put a beer in there, maybe American flag, an eagle, something like that. But just, I don't understand why after seeing Bud Light tank the way Bud Light did, you came up with this, right? It's like, you know what? The marketing team, like, let's put this out. This will be great for us right now. Like, it just doesn't fit.
The only way I can think in my mind to like warp it is that maybe they're thinking, okay, Bud Light, it was almost attacking women because Dylan Mulvaney's not a woman. So what if we honored women? What if we went the total opposite direction and honored women? And that could have the reverse effect. Because if it's me, I would do a commercial making fun of Bud Light if I was Miller Lite. If I'm your competitor and I know that you're going to leave the lane open for me to drive and jam it in your face, I'm going to drive and get on a poster and slam it right in your face so hard that your great-grandchildren will feel it. I would be dunking on Bud Light like Vince Carter right now. Not doing that.
But now we have Miller Lite in an old commercial where they're making fun of Bud Light, I'm pretty sure. Go ahead and run it.
Bring that one up.
Whoa, that's not a Miller Lite. Oh, light beer is light beer.
No, Miller Lite has more taste.
That's strike 2. One more, I'm taking your man card. My man card? What was strike 1? Hey, B, you going to the bathroom. You coming? Come on. Together.
Right. Man up and choose a light beer with more taste.
See, there you go. Gold. Absolute gold.
Ladies' room. Phil, you coming?
It's that easy.
It's that simple. It's that simple.
Man.
I love it.
Wow.
All right.
Want to get the top 5?
Yep, let's get to our top 5. Top 5 sports commentators of all time. We call it Top 5 Tuesday. We're going to start with mine. Number 1, the best Tility's versatility. And boy, Jim Nantz, not only does he have a velvet voice, the man could call every sport. He could make an execution sound like it went smooth. So I'm going Jim Nantz, number 1. Number 2, throw it up there. Howard Cosell. Yeah, that's right. The legend himself. Am I old enough to ever have heard him call a full game? No. Have I seen highlights? Yes. Do I think me and him would have a great time at any point in any time in history? Yes, we do. Yes, I do. Howard Cosell, one of the godfathers of it, in my opinion. Number 3, throw him up there. That's right, Keith Jackson, one of the best. You talk about a great voice. I mean, I know I'm just old enough to remember Keith calling games at the end. I can remember it. When I think of announcers' voices, I think of Jim Nantz and I think of Keith Jackson. I think a lot of people will agree with me on that. Then number 4. It's pandemonium, baby! Get out of here! He's a high riser! Dickie V. Some people don't like him. Or can't stand listening to him. I love listening to Dickie V. I was a ball boy for Auburn when I was 10 years old. We're playing Kentucky at home. ESPN is there. Tubby Smith's the coach of Kentucky. His son was the point guard. Dickie V and ESPN were doing a game there. Dickie V came on the court. We were shooting earlier, shot free throws with us, talks in real life, just like he does when he's on air. He's like, give me the ball. I'm going to shoot it for the charity stripe. I love Dickie V, and he's raised a ton of money for cancer, and he kicked cancer's ass. Yeah, I'll sign me up for Dick Vitale any day of the week. And then, number 5. That's right, Tony Romo. Referenced this earlier. The man, he's a savant. You know, it's like watching Rain Man sit down at a blackjack table. It just makes sense when you listen to him. He's telling you the future. He's like Miss Cleo's husband. I don't know, Mr. Cleo. Has a good voice, good sense of humor, good-looking cat too. It adds to the value. Yeah. I think he's the best one going right now, outside of Jimmy Nantz. And obviously Dick Vitale when he sprinkles in there every now and then. But Tony Romo, number 5 for me, but honorable mention. We've had him on here many times. The Hall of Famer.
Yes.
The Hall of Famer. Got a left-handed golf swing that would make Arnold Palmer drink. Timmy B. Tim Brando from Fox. Talk about a guy with versatility. Can call basketball, can call football, can call baseball if he has to. Underwater basket weaving. The man has dominated every network he's been on, and we got mad love for him. Shout out to the Warhawks.
Timmy B. I love to see it. All right, bring mine up. Dick Vitale, like you said, you got to go at number 1 there. I mean, not only are you getting great information from the color commentary on the game, but he makes it fun.
He loves it.
Makes it fun. I can't imagine hearing a college basketball game without his voice. Let's go to number 2. Kirk Herbstreit. Boys, see there? I can go across the aisle, okay, to a rival quarterback right there from Columbus. I love when Kirk Herbstreit calls.
Kirk does a really good job.
He just does a good job. Consummate professional. He is college football to me. Next one up. Boy, just like you said, Jim, what can't he do? What can't he do? You know what I love? Listening to Jim Nantz call college basketball games in March, then it rolls right over into the Masters, and you get a tradition unlike any.
You remember we saw him at the Final Four?
I do remember that. I was like,
bigger guy than what I thought.
When are we going to be in the Capital One commercials with you?
Yeah, come on.
Yeah, I think he'll get back to us on that one. Next one up, who we got? John Gruden. I love what Tony Romo does in the booth too. There's that look right there.
Do it.
That's that look. Say it.
I tell you what.
I tell you what, man.
Brought this burger, Mettenberger. Sure love burgers, man.
Hey, Spider 2, why banana? Yeah, Spider 2, why banana?
John is good.
And one thing that added to why I like Gruden so much, he had the extra stuff beyond the broadcasting with the Gruden's grinders, and he was breaking down all these plays and analyzing the quarterbacks that were coming out. And every season that Gruden was calling games, I would always anticipate, man, this could be the last one, because you know he's going to go back to coaching. And then he went back to the Raiders, then he got in a bunch of trouble. You know, I wish John Gruden the best, but he was phenomenal in the booth. And the number 5, Mike Tirico, man.
Mike.
I always like when Mike Tirico is in a booth, man. He's just a professional. You know what you're going to get. He doesn't step on the toes of a color commentator. At the same time, he does a great job with the play-by-play. And any sport, like we were talking about with Jim Nantz, this guy could call hockey. I've seen him call tennis before. Every level, every sport.
Everybody gasses up Gus Johnson. I'll take Mike Tirico over. Gus Johnson's so average.
Why did you gas up Gus Johnson?
Like Mike Tirico is so much better than Gus Johnson.
And he looks like he's just running in the sewers of New York City.
Yeah.
When Mike Tirico is in the booth, I feel good about it.
Yeah.
Master Splinter. You're talking about Shredder. Master Splinter.
Yeah, because he's fighting Shredder out there. You know what I'm saying? Eating pizza. Loving life. Bring mine up. I couldn't make a top 5 list without John Madden.
I love it.
I can't do it. The one, you get the popcorn, you put it in the bag, and just the confidence he gives me in the new Madden games. Let's go to number 2. Jim Nantz.
Yeah, he's got to, right?
He's got to. He's an all-time great. Everything he does.
Look at him looking up right now.
Perfection. I mean, him and God are connecting eyes right now. Yeah. All right, that's what they're doing. All right, next one up. David Faraday. You take the low road, I'll take the high road. I'll get to the hole before you.
Wow.
Love it, dude. This golf doesn't feel the same without David Faraday. Let's go number 4. Charles Barkley.
Yeah.
Look, I tell you.
Terrible.
Some of the laughs, you get him and Shaq together, I'm genuinely dying.
Oh, I dialed that.
I'm dying.
And you know he says that stuff on purpose.
Oh yeah. But that's who Charles is.
For sure.
Like making fun of fat women from San Antonio, them laughing at Anthony Davis for being in a wheelchair. And let's go to number 5. Bill Walton.
Oh, I'd disagree with you.
I could smell colors.
Bill Walton.
I could feel sounds. It's just you never know what you're going to get with Bill.
I watched him talk about a tree for 5 minutes
Exactly.
at the beginning of a basketball.
That's why I love it. He's Bill Walton will forever be himself. This is things he says. I love just one. He's great at basketball analysis, obviously, and just the things he puts in throughout the game. Just really keeps you invested. And I laugh throughout the entire game, even when my team.
What do you say? What do you say the odds are that Bill Walton's on LSD at some point or acid during a game?
I would say I don't know. I don't think acid or LSD, but shrooms for sure. I would say at least 68% of the time.
He has to microdose before he goes.
For sure. I mean, 68, 1%.
Charles Barkley. I almost put Charles in there.
Yeah, I thought about it. Vern Lundquist, I was close to putting on the list.
Man, Vern just loves Bama too much. I couldn't put him in there. He's too biased. Every time I watch it, I'm so glad I don't have to watch Vern Lundquist on CBS anymore. Because every time, if you close your eyes, Vern Lundquist will be like, he drops back. He throws a pass. It's caught. Bama, what a huge play. 2nd and 7.
Well, they make a lot of huge plays.
Yeah, they did. But, I mean, he just was so just love. I'm not the only one who thinks this.
Yeah, there's a lot of people.
Vern Lundquist, I'm not the only one who thinks this at all. Say what you want about Gary Danielson, okay? I'm not the biggest Gary Danielson fan, but Vern Lundquist was so in love with Alabama. I thought he was Eli Gold half the time. Which Eli does a great job.
That's why
he can be biased.
Vin Scully, is a great one too. But I wasn't a Dodgers fan.
Yeah.
So
I don't have enough Keith Jackson. I can remember a little bit. Howard Cosell. That's just the guy that
I was close to putting Grant Hill up there.
Grant Hill.
Yeah.
Grant does a good job.
Yeah. Oh yeah. During NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
What else would it
gotcha.
be?
That's what I was.
I thought each of you guys would have Harry Carey on there.
Oh, Harry Carey, that's just too before.
I thought you guys would have Harry Carey.
Like Howard Cosell.
I thought you would.
Why me?
I mean, you're the oldest one here.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, they asked him,
but I would put Will Ferrell's picture up there.
What's my favorite star? He's like, it's the sun. Because with that thing, we're all gonna die. All right, I'm headed over to the Booster Club board of Justice, Friendship, Life, Love.
Oh!
And how in the hell can we not score 6 goals? That's the real question. So I got to take 3 bets today because...
Will you figure it out?
Dude, you had to take 34 bets.
That's because I was on a cruise.
Okay, well, guess what? Doesn't matter.
You were here.
Yeah. Doesn't... They say that... I'm not even going to go there.
Oh.
Give me the Nuggets-Lakers over 222 and a half. That's going at -110. And then going back to college baseball, been pretty good to the kid. Midweek games, which make me nervous, but I'm not taking Arkansas, so I feel better. So give me South Carolina at home, Tennessee at home, and Clemson at home, all to win. That's +154. And then give me the Reds, Rockies over 12 runs. All right, we're out in Colorado. Neither team's very good, which means this game will be 1-0. But I got it over 12 at -115.
Love it. Coney?
I'm hopping on the train. Give me the sound.
Nerfy!
I'm hopping on the Nerfy train. Mets, Rays. I think Verlander's on the mound. Let's go. Nerfy, no runs, first inning, -120. And then Jokic.
I love this.
First field goal.
I hit the Braun one on the one I
Did you?
Yeah.
First field goal, Nikola Jokic, +400.
Behind it.
I love it. All right, 0-2 yesterday. I'm kind of upset about a couple things here. I'll never get upset about Nolan Arenado doing anything when it comes to baseball because I've just loved watching that guy.
Yeah,
he's hit a 3-run tank in the bottom of the first with 2 outs.
And Peralta's on my fantasy.
And then, you go to Houston, bottom of the first, 2 outs, runners on first and second. Abreu gets up and hits a double. So, it's a lot of good things, but hey, I'm staying on the train. All right? I mean, Tom Hanks wouldn't look at me the same if I got off it. Give me the Cubs, Astros, Nerfy. Going back there. Go back to the well, -120. And then give me Nats, Marlins, Nerfy, -130. The Marlins aren't good at the whole hitting the ball thing.
Yeah, they struggle at the hitting situation. All right, Ace. He's taking Denver tonight, -5.5. That's at -1.25. Then Blue Jays, Yankees, Nerfy. Going off at -1.
How is old Ace Man doing?
Oh, Ace is great.
I'm seeing him in a minute.
Huge now.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's been huge.
Isn't he wearing 8-year-old clothes and he's a year?
And Darby Lou wants to know why I didn't put Reese Davis in my top broadcasters. I love Reese Davis.
I love
Reese Davis. I think of him as hosting a show, though. rather than
not commentating a game like game day.
But he does. He is in the booth.
He does, but like I think of him.
I think about like you're hosting game day.
I thought you were gonna have McEnroe in there.
Why?
For tennis.
Yeah, he does do a good job.
Dude,
he does a
Johnny
really
Mac.
good job.
Yeah.
Johnny Mac
that is
does
true.
do a good job. All right,
I thought you said McElroy for a minute.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Greg.
Yeah, he does a good job too.
No, Greg does. Greg, I like Greg.
John McEnroe does a great job calling tennis.
I like Greg and Cole.
All right, Cole Freak, $2 donation. Talking about the commercial. Stop swearing. It's not funny.
No.
Yeah, I mean,
well,
sometimes
in a way,
it's funny.
Like in a way, like the what was it? Was it Bud Light who did the swear jar?
I think so.
Where every time you swore, you had to put a quarter in the jar, and everybody was just cussing in the office so they could buy Bud Light.
Right, like that.
Man, dang, Bud Light, y'all blew
funny,
it.
Right, like you're doing it for a comedic purpose.
Y'all blew it.
Yep, it's unnecessary. Let's go to Colson Duggan's $5 donation. Says, what are they talking about? Women hated beer so much that they banned it for a whole U.S. in the 20s.
Yeah, like again, it's amazing. I don't see any beer called like Tiffany. I mean, it's like
beer?
Miller, and you had She-Wolf on Beer Fest, which was all right.
Good strawberry beer. Let's go to CG87343, $2 donation. Jake, no Summerall and Madden. Love Jackson, though.
Yeah, I can only do 5. All right, I wanted to mix up some of the eras, too. I didn't just want to put a bunch of old heads in there. Al Michaels, another guy that could have been on there. But I like my list. I like the diversification of it.
How about Chris Fowler?
Chris does a really good job. I think Chris Fowler is like Reese Davis and Chris Fowler are very similar to me in the way that I think about them.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think of Chris was like the Reese before Reese.
Yes, he was, but he's also called. Like you want to talk about tennis? He's always calling tennis with McEnroe. Then he gets in the booth with Herb Street. A couple years ago, I would have probably had Chris Fowler in the top 5. But,
I agree with that.
I like my list. Right
Herb Street's a guy I may should have snuck in there. I may should have snuck Herbie in.
King Don Sobek. It says, Blaine, will you please tell the others that you are the man of the people and we are disappointed in the John Madden disrespect from you two?
First off, that's wrong. How about the Dick Vitale disrespect? I mean, on your side, you don't have Dickie V up there. Who is the first person you think about calling a basketball?
Yeah, I think of Dickie V. I didn't get to live through John Madden. I had to experience.
Yeah, that's another thing. And I know I had Howard Cosell up there, but I feel like Howard Cosell was like the one he initiated an era of kind of the commentator personality of I don't know. It's just something about him and the way he operated, like him interviewing Muhammad Ali, and like those are some of the best interviews of like a sports guy with an athlete. Nowadays, it's just letting Slick Willie Thomas beat girls in sports, and everybody has to celebrate it. People like Jamel Hill and all these weirdos.
All right, let's go to Michael McMichelson. All right,
wow.
He says, # Crain & Co. Who will lead the SEC in receiving yards this year? And he says, I'm going with Malik Neighbors.
I mean, I don't think that's crazy. He had 1,100 as a freshman. He was a security blanket for Jalen Daniels, and they have nothing but more weapons. I think Brock Bowers.
I'd say Brock Bowers.
Yeah, Brock Bowers is a good pick. And the Harrell kid transferred out of Alabama, didn't he? He's going to Miami?
To Miami.
Miami, yeah.
All right, let's go to Travis Elrod. TRL, what's up, brother? # Crain & Co. If you had the choice of being the top commentator in your field or getting mad cow disease, what would it be? It's a tough one here.
He's like, that's a hairy cow. I take the mad cow. It's a great one. All right, one more when we get to the bowl.
Okay, let's go to Mike Rocky. He says, I'm not feeling it, guys. Bring me your playbook. Not a huge fan of Romo.
Not a huge fan of Romo?
Yeah. Like Tony Romo.
Man, I like Tony a lot. Anybody that dated Jessica Simpson and Carrie Underwood's fine by me.
Who's he dating now?
I just like him in the booth.
I think he's married now to
Jessica
some
Simpson,
super hot blonde.
I
don't think it's Jessica Simpson, no. I got to be honest
with
you.
No, David.
Jessica Simpson in that Dukes of Hazzard movie, I don't know if it gets any hotter than that.
It's Candace.
Yeah. I mean, this guy gets married in 48 hours over here.
It's Candace Crawford. That's who you're married to.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
Nothing.
Come on, dude.
Hold on.
Hold on.
I love and support you, but you're wrong.
There you go. Yep.
All right, let's get to the poll.
Will Georgia win the Natty? Yes or no?
No. So, no, 65%.
Okay.
Reed's the most beautiful girl in the world, 100%.
That's
It's my answer.
Don't try. No, don't.
It's my answer.
Don't try and backtrack.
So he
now.
punts. He punts on the poll.
You just give me an answer to the poll, please.
No, 41%.
No. 49%. Yes.
Wow.
Split.
The Georgia fans came out today.
They came out this morning.
They think the three-peat's coming.
I wouldn't be
boys.
shocked. I wouldn't bet against them. They're the odds-on favorite, I think, right now on DraftKings to win the whole thing.
They should be.
But hopefully we're the odds-on favorite for you to watch tomorrow. So make sure you subscribe, hit that like button, follow us on all social medias as well, and keep sharing the show. We really, really appreciate it. Continue to help us grow as we move on into getting into football season here soon. I just wish it would hurry up, but enjoy your sports watching tonight. And like the chances of Jokic not getting a double-double tonight, we're gone.